In this episode of the Deacon's Review, we'll be looking at vesting a bishop. After being greeted in the church and reciting the entrance prayers, the bishop then processes to the center of the church where he stands on the cathedra, the elevated platform, and begins to take off his klobuk, his mantia, his reas, and panagia. It's important to have a server there ready to collect these items that are be taken off and are to be placed in the altar. Once those items are taken off the hierarch, he begins to vest. So one of the important aspects of vesting is making sure that things are folded properly in preparation for the vesting, because it makes things go much easier during the process. And as we see, each piece of vestment is put on with care and with attention. It's important that we're using two hands and have full control over the vestment pieces so that we're not hitting the hierarch's head or being clumsy during the process. You notice with the belt that the servers tied it for the patriarch here. In some cases, the hierarchs will do that themselves. Even here again, we see with the cuffs that the servers are tying them on. In some cases, the bishops will do this themselves. Here with the sakos, it goes over smoothly, again not hitting the head of the hierarch. And then as the buttons are being done, working from either top down or bottom up when it comes to the buttons. That's something that you want to coordinate with the other server, but down on one knee so that it's done evenly and timely and done together. Notice how the other server then waits for the bishop. Here we have the large omophorion, which sometimes can be the biggest stumbling block in the vesting process. But you notice that when it's folded, the most important part is to get that one back plate centered on the back where there's two buttons. Once that's centered on there, they're fastened, and then the piece is then folded around the neck, almost like a scarf of the hierarch, and then is pinned and folded together. But very important then that first piece is established, and then it kind of comes together from that, buttoning in the front and then wrapping around and draping in the back again. And of course the panagia set is presented to the hierarch as well as his mitre. And then the final touches of the final blessing here with the Deacon and Trikidi. You notice how the servers even adjust the sleeves. Again, part of the vesting process of making sure all the vestments are in place and in an orderly fashion for the blessing. Here the bishop will now bless the faithful in all four directions. The deacons will then begin censing the hierarch 9 times at the completion of this as the servers approach to grab the Deacon and Trikidi. And then that concludes the vesting of the hierarch, as we then prepare for Divine Liturgy. The vesting of a bishop is done by subdeacons. As for the deacons, they're up on the anvon there, censing the bishop during the vesting. The first deacon is reading the prayers for each vestment that's being put on, so it's important that he's watching, not going too fast or too slow, but being attentive, while the second deacon is proclaiming, "Let us pray to the Lord," before each vestment is placed on. They're also censing the bishop during this. And so they get the blessing for the censer, for the incense there, right after the mantia is taken off and the bishop's just in a cassock right before he gets vested. The vesting of a hierarch is a beautiful part of the service, but must be done gracefully with the subdeacons and deacons working together so that it doesn't become a distraction, but something that adds to the beauty.